Initial contact. High Admiral Zextal of the Galactic Federation stood motionless on the bridge of the stellar Dominion, his iridescent scales reflecting the soft blue glow of holographic displays. His compound eyes studied the seemingly unremarkable planet rotating slowly before him. Earth, the third planet of an ordinary solar system in the unfashionable western spiral arm of the galaxy. Another primitive world. He chittered softly to his second-in-command, Commander Nivak. Preliminary scans show they've barely achieved spaceflight. No quantum communications, no antimatter drives, not even basic gravity manipulation. Nivak's antennae twitched in agreement. The Council's assessment appears correct, Admiral. They're at least 3 centuries behind Federation standard. Shall I prepare the standard first contact protocols? But something about the planet bothered Zextal. In his 6 centuries of service to the Federation, he'd overseen first contact with dozens of emerging civilizations. Each followed a predictable pattern of technological development. Yet Earth was different. These readings can't be right, he muttered, manipulating the holographic display with a clawed hand. Their atmospheric composition shows elevated levels of artificial particles, but I see no evidence of the industrial infrastructure that should produce them. And these energy signatures. He gestured at a series of anomalous readings. They're too clean, too efficient for a civilization at this stage of development. Perhaps our sensors are malfunctioning, Nivak suggested. All of them. Simultaneously. Zextal's scales shifted to a deeper blue, indicating deep thought. No, they're hiding something. He expanded the holographic display, showing a century of historical data the Federation had gathered from long-range observations. Look at their development curve. Most species take centuries to progress from combustion engines to basic spaceflight. These humans did it in decades, and here, he highlighted a series of technological leaps. These advances aren't incremental. They're quantum leaps in understanding, appearing almost overnight. What are you suggesting, Admiral? I'm suggesting, Commander, that we're either dealing with the most remarkably lucky species in galactic history. Zextal's scales shifted to a warning red, or they're deliberately concealing their true capabilities. Before Nivak could respond, one of the sensor operators called out in alarm. Admiral, we're detecting a massive energy surge from the planet's surface. Source? Zextal demanded. Unknown, sir. It appeared for 2.3 seconds, and then vanished. Our sensors couldn't lock onto it. Zextal's suspicions deepened. No primitive civilization should be capable of generating energy signatures that could evade Federation sensors. He made a decision. Launch a probe. Standard stealth protocols. The sleek, automated probe detached from the stellar Dominion, its advanced cloaking technology rendering it invisible to what the Federation believed was Earth's primitive detection capabilities. It entered the atmosphere smoothly, heading for what appeared to be an uninhabited region in the planet's southern hemisphere. The probe never made it to its destination. Without warning, a precise beam of energy lanced up from the surface, striking the probe with surgical accuracy. The probe's debris field suggested it hadn't simply been destroyed. It had been systematically disassembled at the molecular level. Silence fell over the bridge as the implications sank in. Such precision targeting of a cloaked vessel should have been impossible for a civilization at Earth's apparent technological level. More importantly, the humans had known exactly where to strike. They were waiting for us, Zextal said quietly. Not just waiting. They were ready. His scales shifted through a complex pattern of colors as he processed this revelation. Nivak, initiate full battle protocols. And send a message to the Council. Tell them we may have discovered something unprecedented. On Earth, in a deep underground facility beneath the Australian outback, Director Sarah Chen of the Global Defense Initiative watched the alien vessel through quantum imaging arrays that officially shouldn't exist. Next to her, Dr. James Rodriguez, head of Xenotechnology Research, studied the readouts from their successful intercept of the alien probe. Think they got the message? James asked, a slight smile playing at the corners of his mouth. Sarah's expression remained serious. Oh, they got it. The question is, what will they do with it? She turned to face the assembled military and scientific leaders from around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, the game is about to begin. For 50 years, we've prepared for this moment. We've hidden our true capabilities, developed technologies in secret, and built defenses they can't imagine. Now we find out if it was enough. She gestured to a holographic display showing the alien vessel. They came expecting to find primitives. Instead, they found humanity. Let's show them exactly what that means. Above them, High Admiral Zextal was coming to a similar realization. The humans weren't primitive at all. They were something far more interesting and far more dangerous. They were clever. The first move had been made. The next would determine whether this encounter ended in peace or war. And Zextal had a feeling the humans were prepared for either outcome. Hidden strengths. The Federation battlecruiser Stellar Dominion maintained its position at the edge of Earth's solar system, but it was no longer alone. Over the past 12 hours, 7 more vessels had emerged from hyperspace, forming a containment pattern that High Admiral Zextal had used countless times before when dealing with potentially hostile species. Yet something felt different this time. The humans had made no attempt to communicate, no shows of force, no panicked military maneuvers. They simply watched, their planet appearing deceptively peaceful below. The Council is concerned, Admiral. Commander Nivak reported, his antennae twitching nervously. They've reviewed our sensor data and the probe incident. They're demanding immediate answers about human technological capabilities. Zextal's scales rippled with dark amusement. The Council demands what we all want to know, Commander. But unlike them, we're here to find out firsthand. He turned to his tactical officer. Deploy the reconnaissance swarm. Across the Federation fleet, launch bays opened, releasing thousands of microscopic drones. Each was equipped with the most advanced stealth and scanning technology the Federation possessed. They would blanket the Earth, penetrating every defense, revealing every secret. Or so they thought. In the Global Defense Initiative's Australian Command Center, Dr. James Rodriguez watched the alien fleet's deployment with professional interest. Right on schedule, he murmured, making a note on his tablet. They're following standard first contact protocols, just like the Arcturus transmission suggested they would. Director Chen raised an eyebrow. The intercepted alien communications are proving useful then. James nodded. The Federation's playbook hasn't changed in centuries. They're confident, methodical, and predictable. Sarah finished. She turned to her command staff. Initiate Operation Looking Glass. Around the planet, hidden quantum arrays hummed to life. The technology, developed in secret over decades, wasn't just a defensive shield. It was a mirror designed to show the Federation exactly what they expected to see. As the alien swarm entered Earth's atmosphere, their sensors detected exactly what their prejudices predicted: scattered primitive radar installations, basic satellite networks, and rudimentary defense systems, all carefully crafted illusions. On the Stellar Dominion, Zextal reviewed the incoming data with growing frustration. This makes no sense, he growled. Their technology level appears consistent with our initial estimates. But he gestured at a holographic display showing the probe incident. No primitive species could have detected our probe, let alone destroyed it with such precision. Perhaps it was a lucky shot. Nivak suggested, though his tone indicated he didn't believe it himself. There's no such thing as luck at this scale, Commander. Zextal's scales shifted to a deep purple of determination. Deploy the Sentinel probes. These were different, larger, more powerful, equipped with advanced AI and adaptive shielding. They were designed to probe planetary defenses, testing for weaknesses while gathering detailed tactical data. The first Sentinel probe entered Earth's atmosphere over the Pacific Ocean. For 3 minutes, it transmitted normal readings. Then its signal abruptly ended. The second probe lasted 5 minutes over Asia. The third, 7 minutes over Europe. Each probe's final transmission showed the same thing. Nothing. No weapon signatures, no energy readings, no indication of what had destroyed them. They simply ceased to exist. In the Australian facility, James watched the alien probes vanish with satisfaction. "The quantum dissolution field works perfectly," he reported. "Clean, untraceable, and completely deniable." Sarah nodded, but her expression remained grave. "They'll escalate now. The Federation doesn't like mysteries, especially ones that challenge their technological superiority." She turned to her staff. "Prepare for Phase 2. It's time to show them a little more of what we can do." On the Stellar Dominion, Zextal had come to a decision. "Launch the Harvester," he ordered. "Full spectrum analysis. If they're hiding something, we'll find it." The Harvester was a massive device, nearly a kilometer in diameter. It was designed to analyze entire planetary atmospheres, detecting even the faintest traces of artificial technologies. As it approached Earth, its sensors began to pick up unusual readings. "Admiral," the science officer called out, his voice tight with confusion. "We're detecting quantum signatures throughout their atmosphere. They're everywhere." Zextal leaned forward. "Explain." "The patterns suggest a planetary-scale quantum network, sir, but that's impossible. A civilization would need at least level 7 quantum manipulation technology to achieve this, and Earth shows no signs of even basic quantum theory understanding. Unless," Zextal said slowly, his scales shifting to a deep red of revelation, "they wanted us to think they were primitive." He stared at the seemingly peaceful planet below. "They've been playing us from the start." Before he could issue new orders, alarms blared across the bridge. The Harvester had stopped transmitting. But this time, there was no mystery about its fate. The massive device was being systematically disassembled, its component atoms scattered harmlessly into space. And this time, the humans had left a calling card. A message, transmitted on all frequencies in perfect Federation standard. "We could have done this to your ships. Let's talk." Zextal's scales shifted through a rainbow of emotions before settling on a color his species reserved for profound respect. The humans hadn't just been hiding. They had been testing the Federation, analyzing their responses, learning their capabilities. And now they were ready to negotiate from a position of strength. "Send our response," he ordered. 2 words only. "We're listening." The game had changed. The Federation had come seeking to evaluate a primitive species. Instead, they had found equals, perhaps even superiors. And High Admiral Zextal had a feeling this was only the beginning of Earth's surprises. The revelation. The meeting location was symbolic. Humanity's International Space Station, upgraded far beyond what the Federation's initial scans had detected. As High Admiral Zextal's shuttle approached, the station's true nature became apparent. What had appeared to be a primitive orbital platform was actually a sophisticated diplomatic facility, its quantum-enhanced hull capable of hosting multiple species in perfect comfort. Director Sarah Chen stood in the station's observation dome, watching the Federation shuttle dock with calm assurance. Behind her, Dr. James Rodriguez made final adjustments to the holographic displays that would reveal just how far humanity had come. "Are you sure about this?" James asked, his fingers dancing over the controls. "Once we show them everything." "Not everything," Sarah corrected. "Just enough to make our point." She turned as the airlock cycled, admitting High Admiral Zextal and a small delegation of Federation officials. The Admiral's scales shifted through patterns of surprise as he took in the station's interior. Gone was any pretense of primitive technology. The walls pulsed with quantum circuitry, and artificial gravity adjusted automatically to Federation standard. "Welcome to humanity's first extraterrestrial embassy," Sarah said, stepping forward. "I believe it's time we had an honest conversation." Zextal's compound eyes studied her carefully. "Indeed. Though I'm curious why you maintained the deception for so long." Sarah gestured to the holographic display, which sprang to life with images of Earth's history. Because we learned from our own past. Every time a technologically superior civilization encountered a less advanced one on Earth, the results were devastating for the latter. The display showed scenes of colonial conquest, of civilizations crumbling under technological disparities. When we detected your long-range probes 50 years ago, we made a choice. We would advance in secret, testing our capabilities against your observation methods, learning your technologies by analyzing your transmissions. Impossible, one of the Federation scientists chittered. Our communications are quantum encrypted. James stepped forward, a slight smile on his face. They were. Until we discovered something you hadn't. Quantum entanglement isn't limited by temporal causality when properly manipulated. We didn't break your encryption. We wrote it, backwards through time. The revelation sent ripples of color cascading through the Federation delegate scales. Such technology wasn't just advanced, it fundamentally changed the understanding of quantum mechanics. This is why we're revealing ourselves now, Sarah continued. We've reached a point where hiding our capabilities does more harm than good. We want to join the galactic community, but as equals, not as subjects. Zextal moved closer to the holographic display, his scales shifting to a deep blue of contemplation. You've achieved in decades what took other species centuries. How? Necessity, Sarah replied, and a unique aspect of human psychology. We innovate best when we think we're outmatched. Every breakthrough in human history came when we faced seemingly insurmountable odds. The display shifted, showing the network of hidden facilities around the globe. Quantum computers that made Federation technology look primitive, energy systems that defied conventional physics, and weapons, defensive systems so advanced they could disassemble matter at the quantum level without collateral damage. We're not showing you this to threaten, Sarah explained. We're showing you because we want to collaborate. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology. It's our drive to explore, to push boundaries, to question what's possible. Zextal was silent for a long moment, his scales cycling through colors of deep thought. Finally, they settled on a shade of gold, the color of opportunity. The Council will need to be informed. This changes everything we thought we knew about technological development. That's not all it changes, Sarah said, nodding to James. He activated another holographic display, this one showing astronomical data. We've detected something at the edge of Federation space, something your sensors haven't picked up yet. We think this is why we developed so quickly. The display showed a massive anomaly, approaching from intergalactic space. The Federation scientists crowded around, their scales shifting to alarming shades of gray as they processed the implications. What is it? Zextal demanded. We don't know, Sarah admitted, but we know it's not natural, and it's not friendly. This is the other reason we're revealing ourselves now. Whatever's coming, we think humanity's unique approach to technology might be crucial to facing it. The atmosphere in the room shifted. What had begun as a diplomatic revelation was becoming something else, the potential foundation of an alliance that neither side had anticipated, but both might desperately need. Convergence. The Stellar Dominion's bridge had been transformed. Where Federation technology once dominated, human quantum interfaces now merged seamlessly with alien systems. Dr. James Rodriguez worked alongside Federation scientists, their differences forgotten in the face of the approaching threat. The anomaly's speed is impossible, a Federation scientist named Kix announced, his scales shifting between anxiety and fascination. It's moving through subspace in ways that violate every law of physics we know. James nodded, manipulating a holographic model of the anomaly. That's because it's not using subspace the way we understand it. Look at these quantum signatures. He highlighted patterns in the data that the Federation's sensors hadn't been able to detect. It's not traveling through space. It's moving space itself. High Admiral Zextal and Director Chen stood behind them, watching the collaboration with satisfaction. In the week since the initial revelation, The partnership between humans and the Federation had progressed with remarkable speed. "Your species continues to surprise us," Zextal commented, his scales showing patterns of admiration. "Your quantum technology alone has advanced our understanding by decades." Sarah smiled slightly. "And your subspace engineering has helped us solve problems that might have taken us centuries to crack otherwise. Together, we're stronger than either of us alone." But the moment of appreciation was interrupted by urgent signals from Earth. The quantum communications network lit up with new data, and a holographic display shifted to show fresh readings from the anomaly. "It's accelerating," James announced, his voice tight. "And it's not alone anymore." The display zoomed out, revealing multiple smaller anomalies branching off from the main mass. Each one moved with the same physics-defying propulsion, spreading out in a pattern that was unmistakably tactical. "A invasion force," Zextal concluded, his scales darkening. "But unlike anything the Federation has encountered in 10,000 years of space exploration." Sarah stepped forward, studying the pattern. "These smaller units, they're probes, aren't they? Testing defenses, gathering intelligence. Just as we did with Earth," Zextal acknowledged. "But their technology, it's beyond anything we can comprehend." James looked up from his console, his eyes bright with sudden understanding. "Maybe that's the point. Maybe we're not supposed to comprehend it. Maybe that's their strategy." He quickly brought up historical data from Earth's first detection of Federation probes. "Look at what we did. We hid our true capabilities because we knew being underestimated was an advantage. What if they're doing the same thing? Making their technology seem so advanced that we don't even try to understand it." Sarah caught on immediately. "Because if we think it's impossible to understand, we won't look for weaknesses." She turned to Zextal. "How does the Federation usually respond to technological superiority?" The Admiral's scales shifted to a shade of embarrassment. "We analyze, categorize, and either assimilate or avoid, depending on the disparity level." "Exactly," James said. "But humans, when we see something impossible, we don't accept it. We keep pushing, questioning, trying new approaches until we find a way through." He manipulated the holographic display again, applying human quantum analysis methods to the Federation's subspace sensors. The image shifted, revealing previously hidden patterns in the anomaly's movement. "There," he pointed. "They're not breaking physics. They're using a different set of rules. Complex, advanced, but not incomprehensible." The Federation scientists crowded around, their scales shifting through colors of revelation as they began to understand. The seemingly impossible technology of the approaching force began to resolve into recognizable patterns, albeit ones operating at a level far beyond current Federation capabilities. "We can fight this," Sarah declared, "but we need to move fast. The probes will reach Federation space in less than a month." Zextal's scales settled into the deep purple of decision. "The Council must be informed. We need to mobilize the entire Federation." "More than that," Sarah countered. "We need to change how the Federation thinks. Your civilization has advanced through careful, methodical progress. That's given you stability, but it's also made you predictable. These beings, whatever they are, will expect that." "And humans?" Zextal asked, though his scales suggested he already knew the answer. "We're anything but predictable. We leap before we look. We try the impossible. We break problems down and rebuild them in ways no one expects." She smiled. "We're going to teach the Federation how to think like humans." The implications of this statement rippled through the bridge. The Federation, with its millennia of tradition and protocol, learning to embrace human chaos and innovation. It was either brilliant or insane, which, as they were learning, was humanity's specialty. "Begin the preparations," Zextal ordered, his scales showing a complex pattern that had no direct translation but conveyed both excitement and apprehension. "We have a month to remake 10,000 years of military doctrine." James grinned as he continued his analysis. "Welcome to the human way of doing things, Admiral. Step 1. Forget everything you think is impossible. Evolution. 3 weeks later, the combined Human Federation fleet assembled at the edge of explored space. It was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Federation ships, their hulls enhanced with human quantum technology, flew alongside Earth vessels that hadn't existed a month ago. The Federation's methodical engineering merged with humanity's radical innovations had produced something entirely new. Director Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the Stellar Dominion, now transformed into the fleet's command center. The ship's traditional systems had been augmented with human quantum interfaces, allowing for types of analysis and control that the Federation had never imagined possible. The probes will enter sensor range in 6 minutes, James announced from his station, where he coordinated with a team of human and Federation scientists. Our quantum detection grid is active and synchronized across all ships. High Admiral Zextal, his scales showing the deep purple of focused determination, nodded. The fleet is in position. All ships report ready. He turned to Sarah. Are you certain about this strategy? It goes against every principle of Federation tactical doctrine. That's exactly why it will work, Sarah replied. They'll be expecting traditional Federation responses. Careful, measured, predictable. Instead, we're going to show them how humans handle impossible situations. The first probe appeared exactly as predicted, its strange propulsion system warping space around it. Instead of the standard Federation response of analysis and cautious observation, the fleet immediately executed their plan. Human quantum computers, linked across the fleet, began their work. They didn't try to understand the probe's technology. They simply mapped its effects on space-time and began replicating them. Federation ships, guided by human intuition and enhanced by Earth's technology, moved in patterns that made no sense to conventional military doctrine. The probe's response was immediate. It attempted to adjust, to analyze, to categorize, behaving exactly as the Federation would have. That was its mistake. Now, Sarah ordered. James activated the system they'd developed, a merger of Federation subspace technology and human quantum manipulation. The space around the probe began to warp, not from its own propulsion, but from the fleet's coordinated effort. It's working, James called out, excitement clear in his voice. There's space-folding technology. We're copying it, real time. Better yet, we're improving it. The probe attempted to retreat, but found itself caught in a web of quantum-manipulated space. For the first time, its seemingly impossible technology proved vulnerable, not to superior force, but to human adaptability combined with Federation precision. Secondary probes incoming, a Federation officer announced, their scales flickering with tension. But the fleet was ready. Each ship now understood how to manipulate space in the same way as their mysterious adversary. What had seemed like godlike technology just weeks ago was revealed as simply a different approach to physics, one that humans, with their tendency to question everything, had quickly learned to replicate and enhance. The main anomaly appeared then, its massive form distorting space around it. But instead of the easy victory it had likely expected, it found itself facing an opponent that had not only adapted to its technology, but had already begun to improve upon it. They're attempting to communicate, James reported. The message that came through was simple. Impossible. You cannot have advanced this quickly. Sarah smiled. That's the thing about humans. Tell us something's impossible, and we take it as a challenge. She nodded to Zextal. Would you like to respond, Admiral? Zextal's scales shifted to a color that hadn't been seen before, a new shade that reflected the merging of Federation wisdom with human audacity. Tell them, he said, that the galaxy just evolved. The battle that followed wasn't really a battle at all. The mysterious force, faced with an opponent that could match and exceed its technological advantages, chose to retreat. But they left behind a message that made it clear this was only the beginning. You have changed the equations, the transmission read. We will adapt. So will we, Sarah responded. That's what humans do best. In the aftermath, As the fleet returned to Federation space, Zextal approached Sarah on the observation deck. "Your species," he said, his scales showing complex patterns of respect and wonder, "has changed everything. The Federation has existed for 10,000 years, advancing carefully, methodically. In less than a month, you've transformed our understanding of what's possible." Sarah watched the stars streak by, thinking about humanity's journey from a primitive species hiding its capabilities to a force that had helped reshape galactic civilization. "That's because you taught us something too," she said. "The Federation's stability, its methodical approach, it gave us a foundation to build on. Humans leap into the unknown, yes, but you showed us how to do it without losing ourselves." "And together?" Zextal asked. "Together," Sarah smiled, "we're going to rewrite the rules of what's possible." She turned to face the Admiral. "They'll be back, you know. And next time, they'll be ready for this version of us." "Good." Zextal's scales shifted to that new color again, the one that represented the merger of human and Federation philosophies. "Because by then, we'll have evolved again. After all, we're learning to think like humans now." As the fleet traveled home, the stars seemed somehow brighter, the galaxy more full of possibility than ever before. Humanity had emerged from hiding to face a threat greater than anyone had imagined, and in doing so, had helped forge something entirely new. A civilization that combined the best of methodical progress and revolutionary thinking. The Federation would never be the same, and humanity, they were just getting started.